Mark Fellows is a notorious hitman. He gained the name the Iceman killer for murdering Paul Massey and John Kinsella. He killed John Kinsella in front of his pregnant wife and shot Paul Massey dead in a hail of bullets outside his Manchester home after he came back from the shop. He was jailed in HMP Wakefield. This is known as Munster Mansion, where notorious killers have been jailed for many years. And this week he has just been charged for the murder of a child killer inside prison called Kyle Bevan. The killer who slaughtered his 2-year-old stepdaughter called Lola James back in 2020 was on the same wing, and Fellows allegedly turned Bevan's cell into a blood-soaked murder scene on bonfire night November the 5th, 2025. He has been charged alongside Newell, a 56-year-old lifer who strangled his neighbour at 19 years old and teamed up to kill another child killer in prison called Subhan Anwar. This was in 2013 and he was jailed for a whole life term. David Taylor is the third person to be charged with this prison murder, and he's 63 years old and a fellow inmate serving life in prison. Mark Fellows was part of a war that had erupted in 2014 in Salford, Greater Manchester. He was part of a group called the Anti-A-Team, and he was targeting members of what the police called the A-Team that were running and controlling everything in Salford that was criminal. In 2015, Fellows was disguised in military fatigues and he ambushed Paul Massey, who was known as the Mr. Big of Manchester, and shot him 18 times with an Uzi on his own driveway. And this was to settle disputes between rival groups. 3 years later, the Iceman struck again and he used a pedal bike in broad daylight to gun down Liverpool enforcer John Kinsella. He shot him twice in the back while he stood in front of his pregnant wife. These were not random targets, they were calculated takedowns in a bloody Salford saga of grenades, machetes and silenced witnesses. Several years after he was convicted for the murder of Paul Massey and John Kinsella, he also faced other charges after a number of incidents in Salford between the two organised crime groups led to the police creating Operation Leopard that was led by Greater Manchester's major crime team. The sentences were the culmination of Operation Leopard, Phase 1, 2 and 3. 11 members of an organised crime group were jailed in connection with linked incidents including the murder of Paul Massey and John Kinsella and the shooting of a 7-year-old boy called Christian Hickey Jr. and also his mother Jane.
Last night there was an absolutely sickening and cowardly attack on a 7-year-old boy and his mother at their home address. Offenders went to Gillingham Road in Eccles around about 9:25, knocked on the door which was opened by the young boy and his mother. They asked if there was somebody else in the house and a response was given, and at that point the gunmen have opened fire at least 3 times. 2 of which have hit the mother in the legs, 1 of which has hit the young boy in his leg. They're both currently in hospital receiving treatment for their injuries.
There has been some tit-for-tat attacks by members of crime groups across different parts of Salford. There has been and will continue to be a major police operation to respond to that. And the ambition of the police, the ambition of the public has got to be the same. We want to see an end to it. But I think the real wake-up call of what took place last night is that when a child and his mother are involved, we have turned a particular kind of corner. I think even some of the members of the crime groups will be waking up themselves and saying, we're not going to put up with this.
First of all,
the first incident was part of Operation Leopard's Phase 3 that happened on February 2015. This was on Dovesley Road, and 3 men were in a parked car when shots were fired at point-blank range into a driver's door. Police later found a hidden tracker on the Mercedes, and the second happened on the 21st of March 2015 on Bratish Drive. 2 other men were near one of the cars when they were attacked with a machete and a baseball bat. 1 of them was seriously injured, and they could have been killed if it wasn't for an off-duty nurse that administered first aid. The jury was told the incidents were planned ambushes of members of the A-Team by members of the Anti-A-Team, and key to the investigation was forensic examinations of the trackers and the DNA of Aaron Parkin. This was Mark Fellows' co-defendant in these cases. Following a 6-week trial, a jury found Mark Fellows guilty of conspiracy to commit grievous bodily harm in connection to the second incident, and Parkin previously pled guilty to 2 counts of conspiracy to cause grievous bodily harm in connection with both incidents. Fellows received a life sentence with a minimum term of 9 years, and Parkins was jailed for 14 years. Detective Chief Inspector Carl Jones, the senior investigating officer, said these men thought they could operate without any retribution. Today's result is of great significance to the community in Salford, many of which have been blighted by violent incidents over the years. Greater Manchester Police will not tolerate this, and Operation Leopard was complex at times and had unprecedented demand on the investigation team. OCGs heavily rely on no grass culture, which they try to enforce by putting people in fear of violence.
I know people who will be watching this and are friends and plan to take me out and think I don't know. I'm just laughing at them. I'm laughing. I shake their hands still because I know they ain't got the arse right because they know what fucking happened after.
It has been revealed in the courtroom that following the death of Paul Massey, the feud escalated. Stephen Britton was named as the leader of the A-team in several trials, and Michael Carroll named as the alleged boss of the splinter group known as the Anti-A-team. They are said to have been at war since 2015, following the murder of Britton's mentor, Salford's Mr. Big, Paul Massey. The feud became so bad that Greater Manchester Police initiated plans to recruit paramilitary mediators from Northern Ireland in an attempt to broker a peace deal between the two warring sides. This was revealed by a whistleblower in 2022 during an employment tribunal. Following Massey's death, Michael Carroll fled to Spain and graffiti appeared all over Salford calling Casa a grass. There was multiple assassination attempts made on Casa while he was in Spain, but these were thwarted by police who had a raid on an apartment in Marbella on February the 16th, 2016. Alongside detectives from Spanish police and Greater Manchester Police, they found a haul of weapons that included knives and a loaded pistol. Stephen Britton was arrested alongside others, but he was later released, and it's believed that Kazad then fled to Thailand and later Dubai. The most recent member of the Anti-A team that has been jailed is Jamie Rothwell. We covered his case on the channel recently. Police had found information via EncroChat that he'd been trying to sell AK-47s and he was selling kilos of cocaine and collecting debts in the region of £450,000. The court heard that several messages where he targeted fellow gangsters named Leon Cullen, stating, "I'll give Leon a way out, he's a grass. He turned on me for nothing, tried to kill me while my daughter was there. He's my only enemy. When he lands in the UK, that's when it starts." We also covered the case of Leon Cullen and his brother on the channel previously. When a threat to life order was issued to Liam Byrne, Rothwell discussed with username on EncroChat Cape Rocky his address, then provided images of his address via Google Earth. He then said, "I'm going to do them all soon." He then discussed the van that was to be used before that same van was caught on CCTV, pulling up at an address in Warrington on April the 24th, 2020. And the Cullen brothers themselves had access to heavy firearms and start a war that could have escalated even further. This shows how dangerous these gangs can be and how the effects that have gone on from the death of Paul Massey and John Kinsella. So I really appreciate you joining me for this episode. I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Don't forget to follow on social media and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Peace.